been doing this for 40 years, a number of years before Elena was born, but it was always the important part of people.
Okay, today I'm so excited to be in Eli'S Cheesecake factory, and my good friend Elena and her dad Marc spend time with me and show me everything around. I really appreciate all your jobs, that you provide so many jobs for people from Ukraine, from other countries, and people so loyal. Today I was amazed, like hear stories, people work for 25, 35, 37 years. Everything was great, but this part was for me most interesting. Thank you again. Marc, can you give us a little bit story how everything was started?
I think, Roman, when you talk about our people and our heritage and why there's loyalty and long tenure, it starts, with my dad, Eli, because he was the child of immigrants who came to this country. His parents in 1907. He was born in 1910. He grew up in Maxwell, just west of Maxwell Street, where Jews who were immigrants were arriving in the country. His father died in 1926 when he was 16. And Eli always taught me, and I've tried to teach Elena, the importance of people, because he spent almost 50 years in the restaurant business, from the west side to the north side to Eli's Stage Delicatessen, and ultimately Eli's A Place for Steak, committed to his people. And the most important people at the restaurant were the dishwasher, the busboy. So, I've been doing this for 40 years, a number of years before Elena was born, but it was always the important part of people. And what's exciting, and you look at our workforce that's very diverse and comes from many countries, but they come and they stay, and individuals who came to this country as, refugees, 20, 30 years later are leading the business. And there's so much institutional knowledge, what we make is really complicated, and there's a lot of food safety, there's a lot of record keeping, there's a lot of issues of consistency, quality, personal safety. So I think having an experienced workforce and a dedicated workforce is so critical to that goal. The tenure of people, the commitment, is really what makes us stand out from our competitors who are either hiring temporary workers or they're multi-plant companies owned by private equity, where the role of the person is not that important. And
the company was founded in 1980.
Right, so you look at Eli's history. My dad went in the restaurant business in 1940 when his favorite coffee shop on the west side of Chicago had a foreclosure sign. So that's when he went in the restaurant business. Long history in the restaurant business. And then, fortunately for us, in 1980, Mayor Byrne hosted the first Taste of Chicago. It was a one-day event on Michigan Avenue, and that's the first time we sold Eli'S Cheesecake outside of Eli's A Place for Steak. It was a hit. People stood in line, loved the cheesecake, and so that really got us started. And so, we've just worked at it every day since. I've been doing it full-time since 1984. And as I say, we look back and we see where we are and we celebrate our heritage, and we appreciate where we are today. But Elena and I and our team are very focused on the future to continue to grow and to make great desserts.
Great story. But you, Elena said you been a lawyer, right, before?
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to leave your job and start business.
Well, I think, I had the great fortune of, growing up as Eli's son. I'm an only child. My parents, Eli and Esther, worked very hard in the restaurant business, paid for me to go to college, paid for me to go to Northwestern Law School. So I was very fortunate in what they did for me. And growing up, I saw two paths in my life. One was I would have gone into the restaurant business, followed my dad. One, my parents didn't want me to do that, and it would have been a disastrous thing to do because ultimately they tore our building down. It's now the home of Lurie Children's Hospital, and the way my father worked in this, and I work hard, but there's nothing like working in the restaurant. Or two, I practiced law for 5 years. What if I'd continued? Well, I'd be a lawyer today for 45 years. That would be awful, and actually the firm I was at ultimately dissolved. So, you think about this. I'm here working with Elena, now third generation. We get to tell Eli's story every day. Hey, that's really magical, and hey, making desserts is fun, and making big cakes is fun, and having, Hillary Clinton come, or all these things that have gone on in our career over the last, 40 years, 44 years have been wonderful. So, and I think, the privilege and actually, on the issue of entrepreneurship, a lot of times people come to me and say, look at what I've done. But this is really a story of my parents that goes back, over 84 years. So it's, hey, how do you create something that gave me this tremendous foundation and then allows Elena to build at that much higher foundation? That's amazing. It's only possible in America. And it's, when you work with the people, because, hey, you get in a jam. We got these great individuals that we could call on. So, we're very appreciative of what we've been able to achieve, but very focused on the future because now we're held to an exceptionally high standard in our industry of quality, consistency, service. No one's coming to us now and saying, oh, you're a little company, you're held to that highest standard, and that's good. That allows us to sell the largest food service and retailers and airlines in the world.
But do you think many people want to start entrepreneurship? Even in our cohort, many people want to start on business. Do you think people born with that ability to do business, or it's possible to get it during their life?
I think people become entrepreneurs at many different times. I think what's interesting after meeting, many of the people in your cohort and meeting lots of people in corporate world who want to become entrepreneurs, the challenge is, how do you achieve that? Obviously, a lot of people are looking at buying companies. And then, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Where am I getting my capital? What's that going to do to my lifestyle? What type of risk am I going to have? Or you're going to do a startup, and that's a long road. I'm here 40 years later. It's turned out okay. Have there been moments, time, years along the way when you're not so sure? Absolutely. So, it's, you're always rolling the dice. But again, if you, I think the great thing of being an entrepreneur, the challenge is you're going to have advisors come to you and tell you, hey, that you're done, and you want to, take, get an investor, do a sale lease back, try to do something. And then you as an entrepreneur go, no, I think I could see it through. And then, I think we've always felt at Eli's that we were blessed because then a good thing happened. And, you always want to be there for another day. I think the opportunity we see today, and that, Elena has, also with the benefit of both the people she's met at Kellogg and the classes and the professors, is that, hey, what do we do to move this forward, and looking at it, with different eyes. Sometimes everything that's old is new again. On the other hand, hey, how do we develop, this part of our business, if it's, a consumer direct, or as the work Elena has done in the airline business. Because I think the interesting challenge in a business is, individuals get older, retire, sort of think, hey, I've done what I'm going to do. And you need individuals coming in saying, hey, you know what, look, this is a new generation. It's a new time. We have energy. We want to see it succeed. And let's take advantage of both the longer term experience and younger people. And that's really the exciting part. And I think if we have any, focus, one of our major focuses is on training, leadership development, because we can't look back. A lot of times people are going to share, the good old days, 20 years ago when we did this, or 10 years ago, or 30 years ago. And it's no, we had a great friend who passed away, George O'Hare, who would always talk about, people talk about the past, people talk about the future, but it's today. Today, what are we going to do? And look, when you come here and you see, wow, there are all these great people here. So what's our number one job? Help people be as productive as they can be, and be as creative, because that's going to propel us for the next generation of growth. And, over 40 years, we lived through, 9/11 and the impact on our customers. We lived through changes in the economy. We lived through COVID. So all those things that, we've learned a lot about, but, that's helped us just be smarter and stronger. And, pretty exciting, really exciting times right now, because we have, and talent, and it's wrong saying, well, young people have talent. No, older people have talent. They have wisdom. I mean, it's the combination, and saying, hey, every day, you just have to take advantage of it. And I think, again, when someone buys a business or starts a business, it takes a long time to get to where we are. So we need to take advantage of this and continue to, stand for the best, and just continue to grow, and hopefully have fun along the way.
Young people usually wait for results next day. And we want to start up, raise money, sell it, and retire it, right? When you started the business, did you imagine it will take 40 years to build the company? Because people not think anymore long term.
But my parents, my parents got married in 1948 after the war. My mother worked with my father for most of the years, as I've worked with Maureen, Elena's mother, and my wife. But, I think, look, if the so sometimes the American dream is buy it or start it, build it, sell it, and then buy it back.
Do you think all entrepreneurs need to get a business education? Because you didn't.
No, I have an undergraduate degree in business from the University of Denver in finance. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, I would have gotten my MBA. At Kellogg, there was a joint program. It was not as popular. I think I was just sort of in a hurry to be finished. It was a mistake because it would have been fun to spend a year at Evanston.
But I said to Roman, I was like, you learned business by building a business and doing it. So your way, it was great.
Yeah, you know what? So no, I think, also representing people, but, I think also, information, to think when I started practicing law, the biggest development was when FedEx came up with Zap Mail, which was the original fax machine. I mean, literally, documents, oh my God, we could send documents somewhere else. We'd pick them up, they'd take them, or we used to have in the law firm, there'd be a room, it was the Wang word processor. So if you wanted to edit a document, it would take like a week, going back and forth. If you wanted, I like to read deals. And Elena and I were looking at a company the other day, and we had gotten some documents from a business broker. It was in our industry. And then I said, well, it was a public company. So I said, wow, okay, let me go read the SEC filing. So we downloaded a few. Before you used to have to write the SEC, and it would take like a month. So I think the fact, and actually even remembering when we were on Dakin Street at our first bakery, that, if you wanted the news, you had to watch Channel 26, which was, UHF, and so you had to have a different antenna, and you'd watch the stock report. But, so if something happened in the world, you were really isolated, or you had to wait to read the newspaper, you'd listen to, news radio. And today, the accessibility that everyone has to information. So yeah, I love information. I mean, I think that's, if I have, my best virtue is that, I read a lot, or you take things in. So then sometimes then it falls in with other things, what's going on with competitors, what's going on with suppliers, what's going on in the restaurant industry, and then how do you act upon it to develop the segments you're going to be in, and then how, do you interface with your customers. Actually, our sales team told me that next Tuesday we have a Jewel grand opening, which is in Diamond, Illinois, which sounds like it's hours and hours away, but it's maybe an hour and a half away outside of Joliet. And you know what? It's nice to have an opening. So will I be there at 6 a.m.? Yeah, I think I will.
What helped you to go through the difficult time? Like you said, it's not always everything positive. Yeah. It's family helps. You said you played tennis. What else?
I think one challenge of being an entrepreneur, when it's not good, it is lonely. One, because, you got to be careful not to take it out on your people you work with or your family. I think I just sort of got used to it because I think, obviously with 3 daughters who all went to college and all those years, there are a lot of hard years there, and maybe, we weren't as focused on success as we are now, or we got lucky. But, it is family, and also for a lot of years, my father died in 1988. The restaurant didn't close till 2005. So then after a day here, I'd have to go figure out and worry about the restaurant, which was, so it was an interesting, time, when they were growing up. But, I think in the end, I think it's the people around you every day. And as I say, that's really what I would always say to our banker or anybody else, hey, our people make the commitment, and they're there. If we're selling at a profit, or if we mispriced it, they're here every day. And, what do? Hey, we got a lot of good things going on, but it's also a much larger organization than it was. But hey, if I get depressed, you walk in the bakery and that makes you feel better.
And I also think that my dad has done such a good job of creating like his personal board of directors. Like he is like the ultimate sort of like broker connector of people, and he really has a great list of people that when things are maybe not going as he thinks they should, or he wants someone's advice, that he has so many good people to call and talk to. I think that's been a lesson we've learned a lot at school, like that importance of building that network. And I think like he is really like so good at doing that. Yeah.
What do you recommend yourself if you have a chance to back on time when you're 18?
Look, I've been very fortunate. I mean, as I would say to anybody I would speak to, oh my God, you're so successful. I mean, my parents, paid for my education, go to law school, always ate well in the restaurant business, the people I got to meet, the support that Maureen has given me to have, 3 great daughters, now 2 son-in-laws, 3 cats.
2 granddaughters?
2 granddaughters, yeah. But I'm thinking about 1 dog and 4 cats.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 grand. Yeah, and you know what? And to work with the associates. So you know what? Look, if you make, there are decisions you make that at the time, if you'd made a different decision, like in the early 80s, I was a real estate lawyer, so we had a contract to buy a pretty now historic building downtown on Franklin and Lake at a really good price. And if we had done it, I was with a developer, I probably would have left law to become a real estate developer. I am pretty sure if I had done that, I would have ended up, as many real estate developers do, in bankruptcy, because there's good and bad.
You start from the bricks to build one by one,
Yeah.
from the scratch, right? And I wish Elena to continue this brand for a long period of time. And it's amazing, family business. Sometimes it's not that easy, different generation, but I said to Elena, it's always loyal people who will be with you, who will be ready to help you each other.
Well,
and it's great.
And she has the appreciation, she has the empathy for our people and the understanding. But, I didn't start with nothing. My parents gave me, I remember in the mid-'80s when we were calling on retail customers, and we called on Dillon's in Kansas, and the president of the company goes, hey, I go to Eli's all the time for FMI. You can come back and say, if I was being critical of myself, or if my father would, give his opinion, for what I was given, I've done okay. But there was more to do. So, I think the challenge, as I say, and I think Elena, and that's really the thing, you got to say, hey, you know what, look, we got a lot going, let's take advantage of it, because, you look at these companies that get bought and suddenly there's 6 companies and they got issues, or, you get tied up in litigation, or there's just something. Hey, we get to focus on people, customers, quality. That's where you want to be.
All the best.
Thank
you
you
so much.